Congressman Gosar has been the spirit animal of this movement, and he's helped out where he could. He's offered to call donors. We actually had our first D.C. march because he called me and he said, you need to go to the Supreme Court.
Freedom isn't cheap, folks. Freedom isn't cheap. But you know what? Imagine this, that you get to go back home once we conquer the Hill. Donald Trump has returned to being the president. And amazing things will happen with 4 more years.
Republican Congressman Paul Gosar of Flagstaff is coming under intense scrutiny. Videos have surfaced of a right-wing activist and provocateur named Ali Alexander claiming he hatched a plan with Gosar, as well as Gilbert Congressman Andy Biggs, for the Stop the Steal rally that preceded the Capitol insurrection. Gosar was in the House objecting to Arizona's election results when the Capitol was breached. Here's a closer look at the connections between Ali Alexander and Paul Gosar.
Victory or death! Victory or death!
That is Ali Alexander. At the first night of the 2-day Stop the Steal rally, he says he organized.
Let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
President Trump spoke on the second day, a day that ended with an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol.
We're working closely with Congressman Mo Brooks, closely with Congressman Andy Biggs, and closely with Congressman, obviously, Paul Gosar, my great friend.
Andy Biggs of Gilbert and Paul Gosar of Flagstaff, both leaders in the Stop the Steal movement, they rejected Joe Biden's election as president. Ali Alexander reportedly went into hiding after the riots. He's also been banned on Twitter. Reports show he has 2 felony convictions for property theft and credit card abuse. Social media shows Gosar, a retired dentist, has been close to Alexander. That's Alexander leading Gosar through a crowd at a Phoenix rally November 30th. Gosar linked to Alexander on social media more than 24 times after that rally.
As for Congressman Andy Biggs, his office says he never met Ali Alexander, even though Alexander refers to him several times in videos as an organizer. Congressman Gosar's office declined to comment. Andy Kanasik might be the first current or former Republican Arizona officeholder to call out fellow Republican Paul Gosar by name. Kanasik was a Maricopa County supervisor for 20 years. His father, Carl Kanasik, was a longtime state lawmaker who presided at Governor Evan Meekham's impeachment. Andy Kanasik shared with me his blistering text last week to Gosar's chief of staff. The message to the congressman: get out now and face the consequences. Here's what Kanasik said. As a recovering politician, I have deliberately avoided engaging with those still in office. Your deplorable behavior over the last few days has compelled me, and I hope others, to condemn your acts and words which have incited violence and have clearly resulted in the death of our fellow Americans and the undermining of our democratic institutions. He went on, you are an embarrassment to Arizona. For the good of the state and the Republican Party, you should apologize to the American people, resign, and accept punishment.
It's just heartbreaking, terrifying, and I think a lot of people need to stand up and say this has to stop. And more people than me, some has-been politician that has no platform.
Kanasik showed me Gosar's text response, quote, coming from you, I take that as a compliment. On to more Republican Party turmoil. It is on the agenda next Saturday at the Arizona Republican Party's annual meeting. Kelly Ward, the diehard Trumper who leads the party, and her fellow activists will vote on censuring our sitting Republican governor, Doug Ducey, the state's last Republican U.S. Senator, Jeff Flake, and Cindy McCain, widow of the Republican Party's former presidential nominee and a national icon. Party members want to punish Ducey for his emergency orders to control the coronavirus. Flake and McCain were insufficiently loyal to the Trump cause. The censure's largely symbolic. In the case of private citizens McCain and Flake, they're meaningless, but top party officials outside Arizona are concerned about the message they send.